Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. I'm super delighted, as always, that you're here with us. I am your host, Annalena, and today I have a very special guest with me. His name is David Hulse, and he is a vibrant spiritual guide who bridges traditional doctrines with contemporary spiritual insights. And David has decades of experience as a minister, teacher, author, and healer, and has journeyed from a fundamentalist Christian upbringing to an inclusive spiritual vista that champions love over fear. And I think that's what it's all about. I'm so happy you're here, David. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to our time together today.
Yes, I already, before we started recording, told you that I'm super curious about this whole conversation because everything that I read about you and also your presence, your energy is so aligned with what I believe in. Because when I was a child, so I'm in my mid 40s now, so when I was very young, I was very confused about religion and stuff. I actually was not attached to any religion because my parents had left the church and it was more confusing to me. And I always had this as a kid already, like, can we just all be nice to each other? And I don't care what you believe in. Like, isn't it all at the end the same message? That I always had this, like, and now this has also become a big part of my work. And I would just love to hear your story, how this all came about, and what is it that you're teaching to the world, especially in these very chaotic times that we live in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, listening to you talk already this far brings up into me something that I'd like to begin our conversation with and to share is that I've been shown as a download some years ago that there is a critical mass of souls who have incarnated into this time through a uniquely different portal that most people come into a third dimensional world, the simulation, illusion, Maya, whatever you want to call it, world, through a particular portal that has been guarded by higher technology. But I was shown that 2,000 years ago that the light star seed began to incarnate through a new portal. And we've called that many things. In religion, it was called the Christ consciousness or Christ portal. Now,
Hmm.
they confuse Christ with Jesus, and like Christ is his last name, but Christ is actually the essence and substance of who he was.
Yeah.
And therefore, I believe that he opened a portal that these souls would come into the earth that are starseed. For me, it was Pleiades. I've been connected to Pleiades. I didn't even know the term Pleiades was in the Bible until I was reading the book of Job and it talked about Pleiades and Orion. And I thought, why are these star constellations even in the Bible of all things? And it made me realize, and then I've heard that science has proved that about 80% of our atoms is made of the same thing as stars, that we are stardust.
Mhm.
Why I'm getting to by listening to what you've just said is that these souls coming through a different portal didn't go as deeply into the hypnotic sleep of materialism, but were conscious born.
Hmm.
That means that we did not have to come here and learn how to be spiritual. We came in without losing our total memory that we are spiritual beings, and therefore we have moved further in this incarnation uh, to have this innate knowledge,
Hmm.
or what we call gnosis,
Yeah.
right, in the Greek,
Hmm.
which is direct knowledge. What I'm relating to you and what you just said is that I too sat in the church in religion and did not resonate with what I was hearing. Now, I don't think that that's something that anybody ever told me. It was in me already when I came in.
Yeah.
So, one of the reasons I do these podcasts is to put out that call to people who are struggling to know, who am I at this time? Why am I here at such a time in which it appears of total breakdown?
Hmm.
In
Hmm.
1990, I was going into energy vibrational medicine, using tuning forks and frequencies and solfeggio. And I was in meditation, and what was formed in my consciousness was a question: do you want to work and try to fix what's breaking down, or do you want to work with what's breaking through?
Yeah.
And I did not even know what that meant, but yet I did know what that meant. If you understand, something in the cells of my body began to vibrate, and
Yeah.
I knew that I was here not to try to fix the old. This is why this egoic third dimensional consciousness is showing up in the fourth dimension of this idea of, and I don't get political, but making America great again means taking us back and fixing what was.
Right,
But
right.
there are those on the planet that have a vision of going forward to the next stage of our bioconscious evolution. Anyway, I could get so much into this. I'll get lost down the rabbit hole. But what I'm saying to you, that a lot of us who are connecting are conscious born people. We've come in at a level in which we didn't totally forget who we truly were. Therefore, we begin to realize I don't fit into this third dimensional system.
Yeah. I get 100% everything you're saying. And I had a very similar conversation. I have a membership, and we talked about this literally a few days ago, that exactly what you were just saying in a different way, right? And I didn't have these downloads in a way that you had. But I often also say that because with my work, right, oftentimes people are like, well, but you should take a stance on what's going on in the political system and stuff like that. And following what feels right in my cells in my body is that I am not here to fight the old and, like just you said, to fix it. Because when we try to fix something, we're resisting it. We're actually giving it more energy, I find, right? Like I know very clearly my mission is here to focus on the new that wants to emerge. And I have to put all my effort into that because that comes easy to me. That is like I just know. And it's like you say, we are kind of born with this. And I'm just trying to grasp all of this as well. And also, one thing actually I want to ask you about because so the Bible, and oftentimes people, so I work a lot actually with the stars and something called true sidereal astrology. And oftentimes people say that that is bad, right? But my understanding is from a lot of other teachers that I have been also listening to that it is actually part of the Bible. It's actually it's in there. It's here to guide us, right? But not in a way like and this whole thing that God is nothing outside of ourselves, right? And Christ is not something to put on a pedestal. It's like, are we being like Christ? Which all goes back to forgiveness at the end of the day, right? And having compassion and also not feeling like oh, because we identify as starseeds or from some other galaxy. Like, I'm not better than anybody else in the
Right.
3D. Like, there's no, because we can often have the spiritual bypassing and, like, oh, I'm more enlightened than you are. I mean, then we are falling into ego consciousness, right?
Very good point. And that's the thing that's we have to be very careful as these this new information and knowledge is awakening in us that we don't hand it over to the ego system
Exactly. Yeah.
because the ego has nothing. It borrows.
Hmm.
And the only thing it borrows is our truth. And then it puts its venom, so to speak, into the truth because you can't sell what's not true without putting some truth in it. See
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So this is, I'm glad you brought that up because it's very easy to start thinking we're more special, that we're more chosen, that we're more this, that, and another. No, it's where we are in the scheme of the agreements and contracts that we've been making through our lifetimes. I
Mm-hmm.
really believe that. Now, I know for me, this is my last lifetime in the third dimension world. And therefore, I've been told I had to live 4 lifetimes in this one to attain the level of consciousness that would stabilize the new norm coming in from 5D and beyond. So
Mm-hmm.
I started out at 16 years old, 17 years old in full time ministry.
Wow.
Believe it or not, I was pastoring my first church when I was 19 years old. I know people don't get that, but that's just the way it was back in my day, that you just got the calling of God and you got some papers and you went out and ministered.
Mm.
Uh, but what I'm saying to you is I started very early and I've wondered why. Why did I have to start so early? But it wasn't until I really was able to find somebody who took me into past lives and between lives. It wasn't just in past lives, it was in between lives when I made agreements and contracts and decisions that become a part of my design. It's my etheric design is where all these contracts are. Even though I've come here into this density and forgot a lot of those, they're being activated today by this new information and knowledge, like what we're doing today. There may be a listener out there that something will click to them and they'll have an aha moment. And it'll be like, oh, I didn't learn that from what they said, but they reminded me of something was already in me that I had forgotten.
Mm.
So this is a time that we really need to walk carefully and not turn this wonderful new system over. Now, uh, we were talking earlier about the caterpillar transformation. One of my things about the Bible, and there's still things in the Bible I use, I had a different relationship with the Bible as a kid. I did not, I looked at the Bible and I thought, there's something more here to this.
Mm.
And I knew, my common sense said there's been a lot of translations of this. And I remember opening my King James Bible very young, and the first page said King James Version. And I said, wait a minute, where's God's version of the Bible?
Ah.
I don't want King James Version. And I read about King James, and he was kind of a strange character, let me tell you. He was a weird man. And so I kept looking for God's version of the Bible or of the book of life, let's call it.
Yes.
And I actually found it in the Bible. In Revelations 5, it says that John was in the Spirit. And he said, when he was in the Spirit, he saw one sitting on the throne. Now, throne is power. So when you're in your power, when you're the center of your power, then he said, I saw one sitting on a throne with a book written within with seven seals uh, in the behind. And I thought, that's the spine. And the seven seals were the seven energy chakras that run up the front of the body. But it said they had been sealed up from the
Mm.
people.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it said that they wept because nobody felt worthy enough. Well, religion did that for us and made us all feel unworthy because we're born sinners and we're all, bad people and everything is bad about us, that we felt not worthy enough. But it says, one said, dry your tears, for thou art worthy. So, what I'm saying to you, the book I was looking for was in me. It's
Yeah.
in me. The second thing that happened, I want to share with you that I thought happened, that was when my mind outgrew my brain, was the thought nobody in the Bible spoke English.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Mhm.
Well, I started studying the New Testament Greek, the Old Testament Hebrew, and the Aramaic, which Jesus probably spoke more as an Essene from the Aramaic. Well, it didn't. When I did that, it didn't say that in the English. It said something different. So I started teaching and ministering from the culture of the East. Now I was raised in a religion that said, "Stay away from Eastern religion. It's bad, it's false, and whatever." And I thought, where do you think Jesus came from? Kansas? He was from the Middle East. He wasn't a blonde, blue-eyed, white surfer Jesus, I call him, but he was a Middle East with Middle East cultures, and that's what it should have been taught to us in Sunday school and things like that. Anyway, there I go again with so much. I have so much in me to just jump in and
No,
take
I really I love this because I have recently also followed a lot of people that have really studied the Bible more deeply and kind of debunked a lot of these myths. Because one thing that I realized, and my journey has been very different. I have been working with, like I told you, more astrology and human design, so also spiritual tools, and it made me realize that we humans so easily just believe stuff. oh, like this is what it is. We don't question anything. And I think we're here to be curious and like, what does it mean for you? Just like you realized as you were studying it, oh, th this is my truth. This is how I interpret this, right? And I always believe that what my truth is, what my intuition is, that's basically God channeling through me, right? This is
That's
like
right, right.
connecting to this Christ consciousness. And we live in a society where, especially today, there's distractions everywhere, there's opinions everywhere trying to tell us what we're supposed to do. So we're completely losing our identity, our self, which is that pure consciousness, right? But we're mostly stuck up in the head and the ego trying to force our way that is obviously not sustainable, right? And one thing when I was reviewing your beautiful one sheet where you had a couple of topics you like to talk about. So one of the topics was like rethinking religious dogmas, the path from sin to Zen. So that really spoke to me because I also feel like, I mean, we have this in the world. Everybody is like split, and it's this black or white thinking. This is right and this is wrong, and da da da. And that's how we create more separation. And one of the things me growing up was also with the Bible, I often felt fear rather than anything. Oh, I'm a sinner, I'm doing this wrong. And at some point, this was more in my adulthood, I realized, no, I have to listen to myself. And today, my truth is that sinning is when I'm not being true to myself, when I'm not letting this consciousness flow through me. It has nothing to do with like, yeah, we're humans, right? We mess up, we say bad things, like all of this. But I mean, forgiveness towards others and ourselves is really the highest frequency. And I would love your take on it because this is something that always like really held me back as a child. There were so many fears and anxiety about doing things wrong. But what happened, I was disconnected from my own truth. And that luckily has shifted through, the teachings and spiritual
Mhm.
wisdom that I have been studying over the years.
Well, one of the things that I've integrated into my teaching, I'm not into any one school of thought, but I've
Yeah,
gleaned from all schools of thought.
I love that.
And one of them is A Course in Miracles.
Oh,
Under
I love it.
Marianne Williamson, back in the 80s, I was able to have that privilege. Uh, and it just simply says in A Course in Miracles that sin is a belief in separation. But let me
Thank
give you
you.
the yeah, let me give you the context of the word sin. It's an interesting word.
Mhm.
Of course, you have to go back to the Greek because it's a word been translated into English from the Greek
Mhm.
harmetia in the Greek, and that's an interesting word. Um, I'm watching a show right now that I think it's Queen Victoria or something, but it's back in the era of the 16th, 17th century. I kind of like that history
Mhm. Mhm.
of that. But they're not playing football or whatever. They're doing archery. That was the sport of the early centuries was archery. And this word hermetio means missing the mark. It was an archery term that when somebody didn't get the bullseye, they had committed harmata, or what's been translated sin. Now,
Mhm.
the word mark is an interesting word too, because we get an English word from the Greek word charagma, which is character or nature. Now, think about it. When we're in a separate consciousness of being the pseudo self that we were not created to be, we're missing our true nature as a spiritual light being. So we could say we're in sin consciousness.
Yeah, yeah. That is so amazing because I don't know if you know Gay Hendricks, he was also on my podcast. He talks about the zone of genius. He brought this concept about.
Yes.
And I think that's the same message he has too, in a just very down to earth, practical way, where, most of us, we're trying to hustle because we are conditioned. This is what our parents told us to do, our society expects, or our scarcity fears that we feel like we have to do this job, otherwise, we're not going to be taken care of. But like, we're really here to put the most effort into what comes most easy and effortless to us, right? It's like you and I, because what we're talking right now, like I didn't have to study that. That has been there. I'm just allowing it. I'm actually letting it be easy. Yeah, I love to learn. I love to study, but more to kind of validate what I already know and find ways to make it accessible to people. Because I have to always remind myself, because I often think that what I know everybody knows, but they don't. I have to really like keep that awareness that I'm actually here to teach this in a way, and you teach it, and we all, I think, we teaching it in a different way, and one person may get it from you, another from me, another from when we talk together or when we come together as a group, or yet another person, right?
Right.
And then another teacher, so another modality that I work with is called the gene keys, which is also works with these frequency bands of like basically the sin frequency when we're in fears, we're holding back, we're not being in our true nature. And the highest is called Siddhi, which is this Christ consciousness that I
Right.
think
Right.
you reference to. And Richard Rudd is the creator of the gene keys, and he says somewhere that we are really here to spend all of our time also in our true nature, right? And basically what I gather what he's also saying, the biggest sin is when you are wasting your time with anything that is not in your true nature. I don't have the exact quote here right now, but I have that when I read it, I was like, yes, this is it, right? It's the same message. And I feel like we all have that same message. It's there and we're expressing it in different ways. So I love this. And thank you so much for explaining the word sin, because this is also something I realized. We take a word, and because what we attach to the word creates this response or reaction in the body just because of conditioning. Somebody said sinning is bad, and now you're actually explaining the root of the word.
Mhm.
It's actually a beautiful thing that helps us
Mhm.
awaken and like incredible.
Uh, in my spiritual academy, one of the first things that I offer is a class in Bible 101. And that is 6 weeks, 6 hours of going through the Bible and giving the metaphysical, spiritual meanings of all of these things that have been taken literally. Because that's a passion of mine. I've been there. I come from that place. So
Mhm.
that's my path I'm leaving for others to follow who are just coming out and they're still, just because people come out of religion doesn't mean religion comes out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the important thing is you've really got to do the work. And we're here to do the work. This is Gaia. This is God School 101, Earth. We're
Mhm.
here to do the work, not to be in a state of apathy or laziness. We're here to do the work. And I have always had this drive to learn and to learn in that way. I wanted to go back if it's okay, because you mentioned about astrology and some of the
Yeah.
things that are mentioned in a more negative way from the Old Testament. And this
Mhm.
is the thing that concerns me that is kind of a controversial, radical part of my teachings is that people are buying into this idea that the true God is the God of the Old Testament, which is the Father of Jesus, Yeshua. I don't believe that at all.
Mhm.
I just believe the God of the Old Testament was kind of a deceiver, a person, entity that came to this planet and brought deception to this world. Why I'm saying that is everything that it's against would be something that would further our growth and evolution. So if it's against astrology, I would relook at that and say, wait a minute, this must be a tool that can help us to understand our design of who we are as star beings on the earth and help us to remember. So I think even the Bible is very clear to teach that Jesus said of those in the Old Testament under law that was coming out into the new covenant, you're of the father that you're the devil. That's in John 8. And
Mm.
now the word devil's a tough word because it should be adversary. We've
Mhm.
translated the Bible's harsh.
Yeah.
Satan, all of that. It's just a word that means an adversary. So anything that is out of alignment with you would be your devil. We
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
have them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think in Kabbalah it's called the opponent. That's the
Yes,
reference.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So I know that's been controversial, but I believe that who the Spirit is what fathered Jesus, not some God of the Old Testament, and therefore brought forth something that we call the Most High, the
Hmm.
Most High of Melchizedek order. It was a whole evolutionary shift from the Old Testament of law to the New Testament of grace. But here's the exciting thing. We're at the end of 2,000 years and we're getting ready to make a new agreement and a new covenant that's different than the New and the Old Testament of the Bible. This is an exciting time for us to co-write, co-create, co-architect a whole new covenant of what it means to have relationship with ourselves and with each other and whatever. So come and let us reason together, saith the Lord. That's a scripture, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm telling people. This is time for not just transaction, but and transition, but it's a time of coming together. And this is what I so appreciate what you're doing and so many people are doing is giving a platform for the
Hmm.
voice. And you're right, we're saying it somewhat differently, but beneath we're all saying the same thing right now.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. I have been attracting a lot of people, especially in the last 2 months, that have been telling me kind of the same message, and that we are also, and I feel this myself, that because I always feel excited that we are on the cusp of creating something new. And I know the way that the world looks like right now may be quite the opposite, but I have also learned that before there's order, there's chaos. Before there's harmony, there's corruption and all of it. Like, and I think we're breaking free from the polarities, right? From
Yes.
the it's this or this. No, it's this and it can coexist. But as long as we resist and judge, it will persist, right? And it's really like transcending that binary thinking and
Right.
behavior, which obviously creates separation, which you said that's really what sin is, right?
Well, and that's one of the things that's been missing in some teachings. Everybody wants to talk about 3D to 5D, but nobody mentions 4D.
Mm,
And 4D would be like the story I tell about the children of Israel that was in Egypt and they wanted to get to the promised land, but they didn't want to go through the wilderness, that
well, yeah.
place between. Well, that's where we are. We're kind of in our wilderness right now because it was in the wilderness that the work was done to get rid of what they brought out of their 3D experience to not have it to move into 5D. So
Mhm.
this is why in 4D everything is intensified. And this is when the pathologies and karma begin to come up to the surface for healing.
Yeah.
That's why there's such a call for healers. And I'm going to put healers in quotes because I don't think anybody's a healer. I think we can facilitate the healer within people.
Yeah,
When
I
I
agree.
worked for 25 years as a practitioner, I never called myself a healer because I didn't want to take away from the healer that was in the person. So I
Mhm.
facilitated that by removing blockages through different frequencies and whatever, and let the healer come forth in them.
Mhm.
We talked a little bit about this little butterfly story, but I
Yeah.
love the little caterpillar crawling on the leaf, right? This is his whole world, he thinks. His destiny is to be on the leaf, and it's nibbling away its resources behind itself until finally it just gets to the end of the leaf and goes, "Whoa, this is my destiny?" No. But at that moment, something activated in the caterpillar, a different set of his DNA begin to come alive. And as the old begin to dissolve into mush, that's what
Mhm.
they call it, into mush, then that new DNA took over and there was a new blueprint for a new design. And this is the word that is used even in the Bible. In Corinthians, it says, and even literally, I love this verse, we shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment in the twinkling of an eye. Now, this is an interesting, if you unpack that, first of all, it's saying we shall all remain in the illusion of the third dimension, asleep to who we truly are. But there will be those who will awake first.
Mhm.
But it says the word changed in the Greek is metamorpho.
Mhm.
And I love that. So it says we're going to be metamorphosed. Now imagine the little caterpillar. doing all that it did just to become an enlightened caterpillar. No,
No,
that's
it's
not what it went through. It went through because it had to go to its next stage of its evolution to become what the Bible calls a new creature, a new creation in Christ consciousness. I really get excited about these kind of things because
oh,
I've been teaching this for a long time, but I'm seeing it working and happening today. So the caterpillar doesn't go there to become an enlightened caterpillar. It's become, so I think I'm big in DNA. I've taught DNA for years and years and years, back when DNA was not even much around.
mhm.
Uh, thank goodness for Bruce Lipton and others who have
Yeah, he's
given
amazing.
us the credentials to really understand it's not set in stone. But
Hmm.
I was doing it for a long time. But I do believe that there is a different part of our DNA that has been dormant that is coming alive in us.
Yeah,
So, people out there just listening to us, if that's happening to you, that's changing your sleeping patterns, nothing is wrong with you. It's changing your eating patterns, nothing's wrong with you. Yes, you have a little higher highs and a little lower lows sometimes, and you get depressed and you're a little confused. Now, I love this word confused. Con is with fused. That means when I'm leaving an old paradigm, but I haven't arrived to the norm of the new, I'm in confusion.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
this is so beautiful because I mentioned to you the gene keys previously, right? And the gene keys also work with genetics, with the DNA. And so we have these 64 gene keys. Now there's some more research. We're supposed to have 72, which aligns with this Christ consciousness of
yes, yes,
432.
yeah.
Um, so that's kind of now going to the next level. And you also mentioned solfeggio frequencies. So a lot of the conversation I've had are also with these frequencies, but in the gene keys in itself, the way that Richard Rudd talks about it from my understanding and in my own practical language is that we have it within us, actually, this Christ consciousness, right? And every 64 gene keys are within us, and every single one has a lower frequency and a higher frequency, right? And in order to elevate to this higher frequency, which is called the city, you call it the shadow, is the lowest, the in the middle is the gift frequency, and then eventually we go to the city. And if one person on the planet rises to city, that will pull, I think, thousands and millions into the higher frequencies automatically.
Mm, mm.
Um, and it's just about remembering it, right? And we have to, before we get to the gift and the city frequency, we have to look what you call the metamorphosis, right? Where the caterpillar has to be in this dark space first. We have to lovingly embrace the shadow with gentleness, with exactly what you said. We got to embrace the highs and the lows and not judge ourselves. And I'm going through this right now. My sleeping patterns are freaking weird. I mean, I have these dreams. I wake up at 3 a.m. almost every night. And I'm like, you know, so just you saying this, I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna let it be, because I'm so with you on all of this. Like,
Good, good,
let's
good.
let it happen. And there's also a jinky that talks about confusion. And before there's clarity, there's confusion. Let's celebrate it. Let's
Yeah.
just like, before I know, I don't know. We have to embrace the unknown, right? It's yeah.
See, a lot of the things that we're talking about are answers to prayers, and we don't recognize it. Back when we used to pray, "Oh God, whatever you have for me," but when it comes, we don't know if we like it or not because it's
Okay.
not what the way we thought it was going to be. But
Mhm.
this is a very spiritual time. Crises precedes transformation. When they started studying this many years ago, physics, it was very interesting that they watched how a hydrogen atom maybe became a lithium atom or another atom on the thing, because
Mhm.
everything's made out of the same things. They weren't separate. They
Yeah.
were the same things arranged in a certain order. But at some point in that order, began to fall apart and it began to become unstable at the molecular level. So it went into an unstable situation of chaos, they called it.
Mhm.
Then they observed one molecule divided itself away from the chaos and came over here and settled down. I'm sure it took a deep breath of some kind, but it just settled down. And then another one joined it. Now, when two joined it, they created this synergetic field which we call the energy or frequency of attraction. So when the two created that, they attracted two to join, four to join, 16 to join until they reached critical mass and leaped into a new order to become the next element.
Mm,
This is what's happening to us.
yeah.
We are in the breakdown mode of chaos. Chaos became so popular in physics and quantum physics that they actually made a school of it, so to speak, called the theory of chaos.
Yeah, chaos theory.
Bottom line, what we can understand of all of that is what they found out: to all disorder was order. There was an order that ordered the disorder,
Yeah.
because it was an opportunity for the leap to happen. You know, the 100th monkey story, which has been around forever. I don't know if you know that one or not, but it's so
Not sure.
powerful.
You can tell
Oh,
me.
it's a great story. It's about a group of monkeys on an island that was fed sweet potatoes, and they loved the sweet potatoes, but they threw them in the sand, and they had all the grit and on it, and they didn't like that. And finally, one female. I'd love to talk about the feminine sometime. I'm really big into that. But the female decided to go down and wash her potato in the water. Well, monkey see, monkey do. So the monkeys all started doing what she did. And when they had all reached that level of doing that, the same species of monkeys on another island began to do the same thing,
Wow, really?
because they were all connected as a consciousness, as a field at some level. Well, this is why I don't think the call that's going out now is for everybody. That's the thing about religion I didn't like. They want to convert everybody.
Yeah, no,
Go
exactly.
knock on doors, scare you to death, whatever. No, let those that have ears hear. Because if there's people listening to us that really is getting what we're saying, it's because they're ready to hear it.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And when enough of us hear this, we will have that 100th monkey experience too. And this will jump into the collective consciousness, and people will just start having all kinds of epiphanies and
Yeah.
aha moments.
This is so beautiful because I say this always with, I use human design, right? It's another spiritual tool. And I'm like, this is not for everyone. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not to convert you. Those that it speaks for you, and especially that I do it in a different way than most people, like it's not for everyone. And I had to work on a lot of people pleasing habits or patterns for myself on that, right? Because as I repel the people that are not for me, that's actually a good thing. I can then magnetize the people that are ready for my message, for your message, for our message. And exactly. And we need to be respectful of where everybody's at. They, like we said earlier, there is no better or worse. There just is. And it's part of the game of life, right?
Right.
And we just have to surrender to whatever task we have been given. And I think that's when we trust ourselves, that's what we fall into,
Yes.
or naturally glide into with more ease, you know? Um, One thing I would love also to have your take on it, because we talk a lot about manifestation, right? And making your goals happen. And I have this theory also from my own experience of how I see my life works and everything, is that most of the world is chasing these ego goals, what they think they need, often coming from scarcity or trying to prove ourselves, right? And that is also based on what we know. It's very limited, right? What we know has already been created. When I can be in this, you know, allowing this consciousness to come through me and follow my intuition, I'm following what the creator wants for me, what God wants for me. So I surrender into this path, right? And I think from that place, we create the most magic. We tap into the quantum field of unlimited possibilities and what we're really destined to be. And we're all meant to be different. And it becomes so much easy and effortless in this way. So I would love to hear because, I mean, what you think about this, because this traditional goal setting never has resonated with me. I mean, I do believe there's a difference between when I have a goal from my heart, I feel like that's
Mhm.
God guiding me. This is what you're meant to do, versus this is what I should do. And I need to make a lot of money. I need to do this and I need to become famous. I mean, that kind of stuff is kind of, that's the ego, right? That's like actually the opponent trying to distract me from where I'm really meant to go.
I think you said it very well. Very
Okay.
well. Yeah, I do think that the head is more of an external system that sees things outside of ourselves. It totally tries to project memory of the past into the present and to
Mm.
keep us from really being aligned with our
Mhm.
true self. Again, missing the mark
Yeah, yeah,
again.
exactly. It's sinning, right? Missing the mark.
Yeah, so we're in in
Uh-huh.
that situation. I like what you're saying of the fact. I think one of the greatest words, simply, is surrender. I think people who can trust. That's where faith is. I don't. Religion teaches a blind belief faith. I don't. I believe in an innate faith that's in us that says, I trust. I trust who I am. I trust the plan and the purpose for which I have come. And I know that it is greater than anything I may see through my sensory perceptions. If you have that kind of faith, it's amazing. Find the flow. When I was doing tuning forks and people, because I was working off the body in the etheric field, and people who were in their head just saw a tuning fork in empty space. I said, no, 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 no. You've got to find the energy and let the energy move the fork and not the fork move the energy. And people had a hard time with getting out of their head because they were learning. But I would use a visual, like I want you to imagine about 2 or 3 inches above the body, a river that's flowing.
Mm.
And this put your fork down in the river and let the river move it. And I saw it happen over and over and over again. So I like this metaphor of my life is like a river flowing. I'm never in the same place at the same time, but I'm in the flow. I give myself to the river. If I fight the river, I may drown or hurt myself. But if I just find the flow of the river and flow with it, and I think that's what I'm hearing you say today.
Yeah, I use that analogy always like flow with the current of the river, or you can swim against it and your life's going to be hard. So we must be also from a same star galaxy. It's like, because yeah, exactly. And it's oh my gosh, this was so wonderful. So I have one more question for you and then a second one. So the first one, is there a book that you wrote? Because I do know you have the one-on-one Bible teachings in your academy, right? But I'm almost like a new Bible needs to be written, no? In some way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even the Bible says that there will be a time in which it will not be written by the pen of a man, but by the finger of God on the tables of the heart. Isn't that
Yeah.
beautiful?
Yeah.
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 So there's a new covenant, a new book being written by the Spirit and on the tables of our own hearts. That's
Yeah.
going to be the word of God for now, for us at
Yeah.
this particular time. Um, I I do encourage people who are wrestling with any of their old first chakra. Your religion as a child is in your first chakra.
Hmm.
From conception to 6 or 7 years old, everything that you experience is your first chakra is an energy database that holds that information. So usually that holds your tribe, your family, and your religion,
Hmm.
which a lot of people have issues with today. That shows you how far we've climbed the ladder, right? Uh, but if people would like that, you can get on the academy and find that. I did it a few years ago in a unity church here in Charlotte, and did that for people who are still struggling with, well, I don't believe in hell anymore. But
Hmm.
when people ask me about it, I don't know what to tell them. So the
Hmm.
first book that I really wrote, which is now a chapter in my book, is Hell Yes or Hell No, because I wanted to unpack this hell thing. So many people are frightened. I do have 3 books, and they will be on the Academy.
Hmm.
One is Take Another Look, and it is for beginners who are coming out of religion. And then I did a book called God as You on Assignment,
Hmm.
the real message of incarnation. And the third was A Fork in the Road. And that was my experience with frequencies, solfeggio, and the tuning forks and all of that. So all of that will be on the Academy, which if anybody wants to get there, all you do is at davidhulse.com.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll make sure
davidhulse.com.
I'll share it
Yeah,
below
thank
the
you.
the
Uh, and so there's all kinds of things. There's meditations. There's a free sample that you can get on there and do this. I also am the spiritual leader of a community here in Charlotte called Heartlight Spiritual Center.
Hmm.
So I'm the been here for 8 years with this community of people. What a powerful community they are. My goodness, we do great things together, and that's Heartlight, heartlightcharlotte.org.
Perfect.
So you can also, if you want to, I've got tons of teachings. I do a Wednesday morning class. I do all kinds of things on there that's available to us.
Well, amazing. I'm gonna check that out myself. I
Thank you.
really love your work. It is so aligned. And if you were to have one final, I like to call them nugget of wisdom. So there's this one main thing that can be super transformational for people. What would that be? Or something that has been the biggest game changer in your life?
Learning the language of the heart and not the head. He has been over her long enough. He has been the head of the woman long enough. It is time she is awakening. Sophia in the Greek means wisdom of the heart. And I say that that is the thing that's going to help you navigate through this time of so much political unrest and what's going on in the world is your heart's going to lead you through this. And you don't have to lose your love, your power, or your peace. That's who you are. It's not what you have. They can't take it from you because that's built into the identity of the I am that you are.
Yes, the longest journey we take is from the head to the heart.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, David.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice I never know who I'm getting on with if we're going to be a match, but this has been
Yeah, but
easy.
no, I knew this was gonna be matched because I'm very selective. I get a lot of requests for interviews, and the ones that are very spiritual, like I can feel and sense that. And I was especially excited
You
about
listen to
this.
your heart.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. That's one thing. I don't want to say I'm not perfect in any way or form, but that's how I live my life, and that's how all these synchronicities. I cannot even explain how things are always evolving in my life. It's beyond my human capabilities or 3D capabilities. And
I say we're living with the mystery.
yeah, it's magic. It's just like
Yeah, it's a
it's the
magic.
surrender really, where, I wasn't looking for you. You weren't looking. Somehow we were brought together by people following their hearts and how it's meant to be. And now this message goes out to hopefully millions of people, that can reach this message. So
There you go.
thank you, thank you. I'm probably gonna listen to this myself over and over again. And have a blessed day. Thank you for your work, for your
You too.
mission, for sharing it so boldly with the world. And you listeners, I hope you truly enjoyed this. I think this was
Uh,
a very special
it's
treat.
been a delight. It's been a real delight to be with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, David. And thank you everyone for listening. I'm excited to be back with you on the next episode.